Alright, I'm going to show you all how I've done my SubZero Mortal Kombat tutorial. Let's begin. So, I picked up this eyeliner from just a drugstore, I believe it was Elf. And this right here is going to be my Mehron Paradise Paint Palette. I'll be using this to draw on my face, as opposed to anything else I normally would do with it. So with a steady hand, I'm going to start tracing the lines to make a face mask for SubZero. It's like two curvatures under my nose that meet at the bridge and down my jawline. And with that, I use my Paradise paints in blue, and I start painting on a nice wash of color just to cover up the skin and kind of give me an idea of where I'm going to be headed with it. I like this brush. The flat bristles are nice, and it also helps you to maintain really strong lines. Alright, so I skipped the part about my blue in the middle because I did not want to show that because you didn't really need to do it. You can just jump straight to black and go ahead, fill in the outline as such. And I'm using a nice broad strokes, not putting on too much color. I'm adding it on in layers so it dries and you can nice and fresh looking. Alright, so I'm going to trace another line using the same Paradise paint. And I'm going over essentially everywhere I drew previously with the eyeliner. The eyeliner was kind of like a tracing method I used to make sure that everything stays clean looking, and also gives me a guideline to where I'm headed for the next part of my face. Alright, so now I'm just filling in the circles on my face. And now I'm going to use the same black Paradise paint, and I'm going to cover up this part of my forehead and give it the illusion of having on a mask. And now I'm going to use some of that black eyeshadow for shading purposes. This helps to give the face mask some depth, and the way it's not looking too flat or cartoony, looking pretty awesome. So I'm just shading right there, right on the cheekbones. I'm not too heavy-handed with it, but I definitely want to pick up some pigment. And with my white, I'm just going to outline on the border between the blue and the black. I'm also going high towards the top of the mask. And right on the edges of the bridge of my nose. Also a little bit of detail work towards the bottom of the mask. All this to help make it seem more realistic and give it just more depth. Alright, now I'm just drawing on the detailing parts of the mask. For this method here, I almost drew on essentially triangles actually. That's kind of the only way I can verbalize my methodology at that time. And I'm using a white, obviously, to create contrast, and also when they blend together, they're going to make kind of sort of a gray color. Not too terribly gray because I didn't want it to be like pure gray, but I did want some kind of gradient shade going on, a little lighter so that the face mask has some definition. It worked out, so I kept it. So if you passed kindergarten class, creating triangles should be a relative piece of cake. If this part is difficult for you, I may not be able to help you at that point in time. I recommend nothing. Good luck. Alright, and now I'm just shading it and pushing it down and just kind of mixing the color around with the color that's underneath it. They're going to mix together to create, obviously, a different color. And I'm going over the white outlines to kind of just push that color inside of the color underneath it so they blend together and it's not so stark of a contrast. Alright, and here I'm adding on some of the white circles. And just adding some more white circles on the other side. And now I'm putting in the brows. My brows are sparse, so if your brows are thicker, you probably have to just go over with a little bit of black paint. SubZero is a guy, and his eyebrows are particularly thick, so I had to go ahead and make that magic happen. Alright, so this part right here, I'm actually going to outline the outer edges and the inner edge of my eyes in blue paint. Let that dry a little bit, and then I went back with white. I was going to try to create a circular look at first, but then I got a better idea and I went with that instead. But I did keep this base work though because it worked out for me. Alright, so I'm painting in the neck while my eyelids are drying. And this is what I did essentially. I went back over with blue, and I'm going back over the freshly dry blue with more white. And it's very important to allow each layer to dry, otherwise they kind of start to smudge and smear and kind of warp into each other. And now I'm putting a little bit more white in the center like I did at the very beginning of the eye process. And I like this a bit more than what I was going with originally. This kind of made it seem like SubZero's eyes were aglow, as opposed to actually just making eyes on my eyelid. They just seemed a little bit less fantastical. I like this better. Alright, and so I'm kind of just pinpointing a little bit more of that pure white toward the center of my eyes. And now for the final touch, I'm going to create that scar that runs across SubZero's face. Dealing with those crazy people like Scorpion, I get a scar too. And then you just take the black paint up toward the upper eye as if you just continued the scar. I didn't want to infract upon the color. And there you have it, SubZero. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment to my channel.